Hello, everyone. We're trying this again for the second time. It's Geek Dimensions podcast. I'm Stephen Hodson, your host, along with my good friend and podcasting buddy, Paulo Flaherty, down in Mobile, Alabama. Mobile, right? I got that right?
Yeah, Mobile, Alabama.
After all this time, I finally get it right.
Finally.
Yes. Anyway, we are here to spend some more time talking about some of the geekier things that have gone on in the past week. Actually, kind of stretching past, because we didn't do a show last week because I had a bunch of shit going on, which I'll get to very shortly. And so we are kind of catching up over 2 weeks.
Oh, just admit that you're a bad man, Hodgson, and just couldn't turn up because you were too bloody lazy.
Yeah, but I thought we were lying on this show.
No, that's the other podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, how have you been? How's life been treating you?
Oh, I've been good, man. I've been busy working away as always, and I just dentist appointment today. Not the most fun in the world. My mouth now hurts.
How's Sarah doing with the new baby coming along?
She's good. She's happy. We just bought the double stroller for the new baby. So we're good. We're looking forward to Halloween. All the kids coming over, and everybody's getting dressed up for Halloween.
Yummy barbecued kitties.
One of the boys is going to be the killer, like the face mask guy from Scream. Even though he's never seen it, but when he was out choosing his costume, he saw it.
Listen, he'll be right in line with the idea that MTV is going to be running a Scream TV show, but there's no monster in it.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway.
But yeah, so like he got it, and it's got the mask, and it's got a heart that he holds in his hand, and when he pumps the heart, blood spurts out of the mask and all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of cool. And Gabby is going as like a Hey Talia cosplay. The other Damien is going as a Ghostbuster, and little Malcolm, all 15 months of him, which he will be 15 months the day after Halloween, is going as Captain Kirk.
You gotta send me pics. I want pics.
We got him a little Star Trek uniform and the whole lot, and so he's
I want pics. I seriously do. Anyway, no, this past couple of weeks has been really rough around here and this is kind of leading into what I wanted to talk about this week, which has to do with WordPress. And so if you're not really interested in WordPress, leave us running, go have a coffee or something, and come back in about a little bit, and we'll have other stuff to talk about.
Are you going to rant?
No, actually, it's a combination of things. What happened was that last week I started having problems with one of the sites and getting email through that domain.
Uh-huh.
And I reached out to my buddy Mike, who is my host, and he reached out to the data center where everything's kept nice and safe. And it came back. They had immediately shut down one of my sites, locked it down tight. And they put another one on hold. Basically, I could still get in and do what I needed to do. And my two main ones were told that if I don't clean up the mess, they'll shut them down tight too. Because what happened, now I can only go by what the engineers are telling me and what I've got in emails from them through Mike. One of the plugins that was common across all my sites, okay?
Oh, name and shame.
Short Code Ultimate.
Okay.
All right. Somewhere in that code, it was turning my site basically into an email spammer.
Really?
Yes. To the point that Twitch Universe it's still the account suspended. I got to do the email and do that. Got to get it opened up just so I can basically gut it. Mythropalace is on maintenance mode, but Geek Dimensions and WinX are up and running. They're clean, but it took me almost 2 weeks to get everything straightened around as far as those two sites were concerned and put the other ones on hold. But yeah, it's apparently, and the sad part is that plugin actually came in through another theme that I had used on another site.
wasn't like something that you downloaded from like the WordPress repository, for example.
Following that, yes, I did for my other sites because I liked all the bonuses that short code package gave me, right? So all my sites were running, had this short code ultimate plugin running on them. And once we got that cleaned up, I started getting bounce mail right through all my accounts because it was getting bounced back out. It wasn't going anywhere. So definitely there was something wrong there. And like I said, I can only go by what the engineers are telling me, that was a plugin that was causing the problem.
So basically what you're saying is that there was some backdoor code or whatever turning your site into a spam bot.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, mind you, now everything's all cleaned up. But in the process of that, I came across some rather interesting things with WordPress. And don't get me wrong, I love WordPress. But if you are...
Are these positive things, or should we just give people out a few tips here first about dealing with plugins? Okay.
Yeah, okay, do that.
All right. All right. So
because you are a site developer as well.
There are hundreds of thousands of plugins out there for WordPress. Okay. Unless you're purchasing even if you're purchasing your plugin, but unless you're purchasing it from a reputable developer, and I'm not talking about ThemeForest or somewhere like that. ThemeForest is really good. Envato is really good, but the problem is that people can't really rate the product there until they've actually purchased it.
Yeah, that's one big thing that I don't like. I've probably wasted more money on themes that way.
Yeah, which is a bit of an issue, but that's a whole separate issue, right? So let's say you're going to get a plugin and you're going to get it from the WordPress repository, WordPress.org. You would expect stuff there to be safe, but look, you can't be sure, right? So make sure. Here's some sort of a off top of my head checklist of stuff that you're going to do if you're going to find a plugin. Find a plugin that does what you want it to do, and then check 1, that it's compatible with your version. 2, that it's up to date. Okay, that the developer is working on it and is actively responding in the support forums. Okay, you can do that just by clicking on the side of the screen. You can see support there. You can see how many people have logged support complaints, whether or not the developer is responding to it, and actually have a read and see what problems other people are experiencing with the plugin, because that may give you a heads up as to even if it is a really good plugin, whether or not it's actually suitable for your needs. Okay? And if it's going to be causing a lot of trouble, you can be fairly guaranteed that somebody is going to be complaining in the forum that this thing is not kosher. Okay? WordPress do, run plugins against a code base. Basically, they run tests on it to make sure that it's clean, but that's not infallible. So you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt. Do your reviews. Ask people online, what plugin they recommend for a certain job, and if it's a reputable, go with the crowd consensus, because the crowd consensus usually tends to weed out shit. Now, there is another possibility here, Steve, that I'm just going to get into when it comes to your plugins, is that it is quite possible that your site may have been infected after the fact, and that's just the plugin that got infected. True. I've had cross-site scripting vulnerabilities affect my sites on other hosts before, and it wasn't my site that originally got infected. It was somebody else's site on the host, and then it was Goodnight Vienna. They find a way to worm in. Now, typically in my experience, when that happens, they tend to hit things like your htaccess file and try and do redirects to other locations, but or install something that's just going to infect people that come to your site directly. But it's definitely not beyond any stretch of the imagination to think that they would just randomly infect the plugin. Because all they have to do is look in the plugin. All they have to do is locate an activated plugin, right, and inject code, after the plugin is called to perform what they want every time your page loads. In this case, turning your site into a spam bot, So it could be possible that it wasn't necessarily the plugin itself immediately.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
But that also doesn't quite hold true if you told me then that same thing happened on other sites that you install the plugin from, and you install the plugin directly from the repository.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
But, that's why I said that's what I've been informed by the engineers. I've got that email from them, and so I've got, my footing where I'm comfortable saying what I'm saying.
I know for a lot of small site owners, this isn't really possible. But the best practice, of course, would be that you never install anything on a live site until you've tested it out somewhere else.
Yeah. Now, let's carrying on with it. There's some other things with WordPress, and one thing that really gets, because I have a bad habit, or did have, of buying a theme, liking it at that point, and then finding problems with it as I was going along, right? And as the site was being worked by visitors. So I would end up finding a better suiting theme. The problem is when you switch from themes to theme, there's no standardization of how things, like suddenly you've got images that were perfect for one that are either too large or too small for another.
Yeah.
And it really can cause a lot of headaches. The thing that I would say is, and this is where we've talked about Theme Forest as being a great place for great theme code. The problem is you have no way of testing that over a longer period of time of just other than the live demo.
Yeah, well, you see, here's the problem with the whole sort of theme scene as I see it, okay? Themes should never, ever, ever, ever lock the user in.
But they all do that.
But they shouldn't.
I know.
This is why we're saying this is why it's a problem. Okay? It's great to have a theme that gives you all these bells and whistles, short codes, and, Tim Thumbs your fucking makes your thumbnails on the fly and all this sort of stuff. But what happens is when you start, creating custom post types that are theme dependent, when functions of how somebody is displaying their information on their website are tied to like custom fields and all this kind of crap, you're making it impossible for the user to move away to another theme afterwards. A theme should do nothing but basically, change the CSS and give you some output, some layout options. If your theme needs to do more than that, then it really, really has to be done with plugins.
Yeah.
And let's do it so that these things are
like there is no standardization when it comes to things like plugins or themes. And I know it's hard. It would probably be almost impossible to do, but I wish there was some kind of standardized formats that were applicable across themes and plugins.
Well, it wouldn't be impossible to do. It just has to be agreed upon. But the problem is that you can't, for example, agree upon thumbnail size across themes, because what works on a blog doesn't necessarily work on a site that is showcasing products, for example. But what it would be nice to see, perhaps in the WordPress core, is when a theme registers thumbnail sizes, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then you uninstall the theme, WordPress
should clean up afterwards
and delete all of the thumbnails, because it's got the original images that the thumbnails were generated off of. Okay, they can be stored in the post data. Right, a link those can be stored in the post data. Okay, so it's basically a field that says, okay, this is what the image that we create the thumbnail from. Okay,
Yeah.
so you uninstall a theme, all that shit is gone from your media folder, is gone from taking up space on your server, and they're all just automatically deleted. Okay, when you install a new theme, it registers the new thumbnail size. Now, I know you're going to have to wait 20 minutes for your site to regenerate all these thumbnails at the correct size. But isn't that a lot nicer?
Yeah.
Right? Now, I ran into this problem with Early Bits, a site that we just retired. Okay? There was 14,000 posts on Early Bits. Right? Now, every post had a thumbnail. So you would expect that there would be 14,000 thumbnails, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 14,000 support images, assuming every post was an image.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's 28,000. And now let's say you also had to find a medium-sized image, right? That's 38,000 images for 14,000 posts. But because over the years, all of these, this site ran for 6 years. So when designs were changed, thumbnails had to be regenerated. And it's not an easy process to delete them. Okay? There was over 150,000 files, most of which were unused, defunct thumbnails.
Jesus Christ.
Just images alone. I'm not talking about anything else.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Taking up a massive amount of space on the server. And actually, it got to the point at one stage that in order to get rid of them, rather than going in and trying to manually clean them out, it was easier to set up a duplicate of the site on another host, import everything so that it imported clean, and switch to DNS records rather than try to clean it up. So yeah, there's stuff like this that can be solved inside WordPress core.
Another one.
There has to, but people have to realize that if you want WordPress to grow as a CMS rather than just a blog platform for Harry and Joe Blogger, right? That this kind of functionality needs to be in there.
Yeah.
Because, people who are using this kind of functionality are using magazine themes, they're doing site updates, they're trying to stay current, and they're generating an awful lot of crap files on a server that there's no easy way to delete. It's just bogging everything down.
Another area where this comes into play as well is the new thing with WordPress is the custom fields. Now, that's great. It gives you a lot more opportunity as a developer to do some
custom fields have been there forever.
Well, okay. Then I stand.
Post types?
No, I'm talking about custom fields.
They've been there forever.
Oh, okay. Well, what I found is if you have a habit of changing your theme, and your theme has certain features that use custom fields, if you go back and you look in underneath the post and you look at the custom field section,
yeah,
there's fucking custom fields for every single theme that you have run.
Well, they should also be deleted.
Exactly.
Along with if they're theme reliant, they should be deleted.
Like one good example too is post views. Okay, you can get a plugin that just does post views. You've got themes that do post views. If you look at the custom field list for your site, for your post, you've got anywhere between up to 3, maybe more, custom fields for keeping track of post views. So you never actually have a true number for your post fields.
Well, that's why it's important that plugins clean up after themselves. But they don't.
Like I've had to go through, like I'm doing that right now with Geek Dimensions, go through all the posts and unify the post views under the current theme's custom field. Now, that's a pain in the ass, but at the same time, I'm also cleaning out all those older post fields.
Well, I don't want to get into sort of ratting on WordPress because WordPress is like I live in WordPress. I use WordPress. I'm a massive WordPress advocate.
So am I.
But I'm thinking, like, wouldn't you use something else rather than storing custom views in your database? How about tying it to an analytic program so that, you know, you are relieving load on your server, and then, you know, just caching like popular posts or whatever, you know?
I'm sure there are ways around doing it, and I will probably look at them once I've got this all cleaned up and back to where I'm feeling comfortable with it and I'm happy with it. It's really frustrating when you look at how good and what the potential WordPress brings to, you know, content producers like you and myself, right? And having it basically becoming almost like a hair pulling experience every day you go into your WordPress, you know, blog to do what you got to do.
Well, you know what? That's why we killed. This is turning into a WordPress show, and I didn't want it to, but. You know, I wrote a post.
Hey, hang on a second. No, I was just going to say, what we are saying here is no slam against WordPress. You and I both love WordPress. You and I both have used WordPress for years.
I live in it. Without WordPress, I wouldn't make the money that I make. But here's the thing, right? We killed off 3 of our popular sites. They used to be very, very popular. We're talking millions of page views a month, you know. But now they're doing, I don't know, 100K each, you know, per month. And it's just, what we found was that I was in a position whereby I didn't have the time to be a decent content curator. Okay? But I also didn't have the time to do the necessary maintenance on these sites, because everybody likes to think that it's just a matter of update your plugins and update your WordPress and you stay and you'll be secure and stuff goes on. But the truth is that it's never that simple. No. You update plugins and probably a third of the time something breaks, and you've got to fix it either in your theme or something else. You update your theme and something breaks. You update WordPress, and normally that goes off very, very smooth. But these other third-party things, there's always a bit of hassle. And eventually, this all sort of builds up to the point wherein maintaining these sites became too much of a hassle, because, you know, after 6 months, 7 months, a year of not producing as much content as we wanted to, it was kind of like, okay, we want to do this again. But now we've got to develop a new site, and it's got to be responsive, and it's got to, you know, it's got to take advantage of the new features of WordPress rather than the old way we used to do things. And it just became a major pain in the ass. And even though they were making money at like 100,000, you know, page views a month, it wasn't worth the hassle. So we just eliminated the stress and shut the sites down. You know, focus on maintaining less things and actually having fun again, you know. And I think that is going to be one of WordPress's biggest problems going forward for self-hosted WordPress, for WordPress.org, is that eventually the maintenance is not fun.
Yeah,
it has to be simplified, you know. And you know, especially when you're out there and people will go away and people will buy a team, you know. Joe Blogs, you know, Fanny Aunt May gets WordPress set up by somebody for. She doesn't want WordPress.com because she wants more freedom, and she doesn't want to spend that kind of money to have a custom domain and put her ads on and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, she gets somebody to set her up on a host. You know, updating is easy enough, but once you've installed your theme and got it the way you want, you have no guarantee that that theme is going to continue to
be relevant.
You want it to, as WordPress changes, as plugin changes, unless you leave everything static and don't update. But at that point, you're running into another problem, because everybody's telling you, you have to update, you have to update, you have to be safe, you have to be secure, because if you're not, you're going to risk your site getting hacked, other people on your shared server getting hacked. You know, the responsibility becomes a bit much. And you know, I always say that if you're not willing to accept the responsibility, then you should probably be on Blogger or somewhere like that. But, you know, even for me, it becomes a bit much sometimes when you have multiple sites. So what can you do? You know, if we have problems with it, you can be guaranteed that average Joe Soap has problems with it, you know?
Yeah.
Bigger problem.
While we're on the web area of the show, you put this one in, Verizon's perma cookie. What's now? I caught a glimpse of this. I didn't read all of it. What's the deal?
All right. So if you're on Verizon and you're using a, all right. So let's say you're on your phone and you're going around, okay, and you set things like do not track in your browser for your data, so that advertisers can't track you, so that they know you don't, well, it's not that they can't track you, but they know that you don't want to be tracked. And stuff like that. Okay. Or let's say you're trying to use a Tor browser or something like that because you don't want people knowing what you're doing for whatever your reason may be.
Yeah.
Okay. But you don't want to be tracked. Well, Verizon has made that basically impossible, because what they're doing is they're adding a 50-character sequence of letters, numbers, characters to the end of your data, to the data that is flowing between mobile users and the websites that they visit. So it doesn't matter what privacy precautions you take, this unique user ID is being embedded on your data after the fact. So you're being tracked, whether you like it or not. And there's fuck all you can do about it, to be honest.
Okay, now, I can't believe that, well, I guess I can't believe it's Verizon, and it shouldn't come as any surprise that they're doing this. But how did they possibly think that this is going to be something that people are going to stand for?
Because here's what it is, right? You know, Verizon wants to has an internet advertising program.
Yep.
And this is all that it is. They're saying, look, your traffic comes through our network, therefore we're going to tag everything that you create.
Yeah, but wait a second.
They're basically saying, fuck your privacy, because we want to track you and make money by selling your information to advertisers.
Over on top of what the money they're already getting from us.
Yes.
So instead of making $1 billion, they're going to make $2.5 billion.
Yeah, they're making money every possible way they can, right? You double pay for your data. You pay higher rates than pretty much anybody else in the world, okay? They screw you every possible way they can, and now they find more ways to make money on your data. Okay?
Now, according to Verizon spokeswoman Deborah Lewis, there is no way to turn it off. She says that Verizon doesn't use the UIDH to create customer profiles, and if you opt out of the company's relevant mobile advertising program, then Verizon and its advertising partners won't be using it to create targeted ads.
All right. Bullshit.
Oh, exactly.
All right? It's absolute bullshit, right? Because here, right? How about this? If you want to be tracked and get relevant mobile advertising, how about we only add this ID then?
Yeah.
They blanket added it to everybody's traffic, regardless of what you're doing, so that it can be tracked. There's only one reason for that, and it's because we're going to track you regardless of whether or not you say you don't want to be tracked.
Yeah, they're also saying, like, this is one of the ways that Verizon is trying to get around the do not track features in browsers.
Now, if you go to lessonlearned.org/sniff, we'll put the link in the show notes, you can actually see, if you're a Verizon customer, what UID is being put out there for you. Now, don't visit it on your mobile device connected through your Wi-Fi, because then your data is not being tagged because it's going through your Wi-Fi. But what you want to do is just connect directly using your actual mobile connection and see what's going out there. Now, there's anecdotal reports out there that AT&T and other carriers may be using similar types of identifiers.
Well, if one's going to be using it, you can be pretty well damn sure that the other ones are going to try it out anyway.
But look, we'll drop a link in the show notes to this. I happen to think that, and it's a hard thing to sort of fucking articulate, but, you know, you're paying for their service, okay? And especially if you're taking measures within your browser to tell other services that you do not want to be tracked, I really do think that Verizon is probably voiding the contract, at least the social contract, definitely voiding the contract that they have with you. You know, they probably have it in the fine print somewhere that they can track what you do. But this goes beyond tracking what you do for network management purposes. This is, we're going to track every single thing you do so that we can sell your information to advertisers and non-advertisers. That's way beyond. I'm not paying a company to advertise to me.
Yeah.
And this gets us back to this whole fucking internet thing. Let me just have this very, very quick rant.
Okay, go for it.
Very, very, very quick rant. Verizon, AT&T, any carrier in the world, you get money off me to transmit the data that I want. That's it. Right? That's what you're paid for. Okay? You're not paid to tell somebody else that they need to pay you money to be able to deliver the data to me that I'm paying you to deliver. Okay? It's like if I went downtown and I got into a taxi, right? And I paid a taxi man $50 to bring me to a hotel. Okay? And if I do this today and he drives me straight to the hotel and I get there in say 30 minutes, right? But tomorrow he decides I'm going to be like Verizon or I'm going to be like Comcast, right? And I'm going to take your $50, Paul. But unless the hotel pays me $50 as well, it's going to take an hour for me to get you there because I'm going to drive at a snail's pace and take all kinds of detours until I get there. We wouldn't accept that if it happened. But that is what the cable companies, that is what the carriers are trying to do day in, day out. And now, right? Not only that, but I'm going to go at a snail's pace unless the hotel pays me money. But now I'm going to take your personal information and I'm going to sell it to other people, right? I'm going to go through your wallet while you're in a taxi. I'm going to find your social security number. I'm going to look at your credit cards. I'm going to look at your passport, your pictures of your kids. And I'm going to sell all that information to advertisers and I'm going to advertise to you while I'm driving you really slow. I'm not doing what you paid me for in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, if people think that is acceptable, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Then they must be the kind of, then you know what, then you're probably the kind of people who thinks an ass is bare tits.
Yeah, the woman who fooled Redditors. Gotta love some imagination on this one. But before we get there, one of the things that always struck me is like Amazon is always claimed to be the brilliant internet marketing salesman company.
Amazon.
Yes.
Pretty amazing.
So when there was talk of them going to be coming out with an Android phone, everybody's going,
we all went, no.
Well, you and I did, but the marketers and the company were going, this is going to be the next step for cheap, reasonable mobile access.
Yeah, and it could have been the next step for cheap, reasonable mobile access, but it wasn't cheap and reasonable.
No. And
it wasn't even a good phone.
And so now, apparently, Amazon is sitting on $83 million worth of unsold Fire phones.
Well, you see, look, here's the thing. Amazon got into this habit of, you know what? They make great tablets. Okay? They make great e-readers. All right? I mean, like, the new Kindle is like what, $200?
Yeah.
Right? Sarah has a Paperwhite. All right? She has a Paperwhite. I have a Paperwhite. The kids have all got Kindles. And she will be getting this tablet just because, or this e-reader just because Amazon makes bloody good e-readers, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very minor upgrade, but she's going to spend $200 to get it, right? Their tablets are good in that sense too. But a phone is a completely different beast.
Yeah, it is.
You know? And I don't think Amazon quite had the technical chops to walk into doing this particular beast.
I also don't think that they had the chops to be able to go against what the carriers would want.
Well, I don't know, because they weren't relying on the carriers in this sense as much as they were relying on the point that I was trying to get to, which is they are used to. They release a new Kindle and everybody goes, Kindle! And it's tied to Amazon services, so awesome! And I've got WhisperSync and, you know, and they expected more of the same, where people just buy it in droves because it's part of the platform. Buy it in droves because it's part of the platform. It didn't happen with the phone because, you know, phones are fairly cutthroat and they priced it wrong and it wasn't a particularly good phone and this whole 3D crap was useless and they pushed all the wrong buttons because they were so used to succeeding, I think.
Yeah,
and
I think that's a good estimation. Yeah, yeah.
And now they've got a bunch of phones on their hands. They're nothing to do with.
Okay, back to the woman titillating Redditors. Apparently, was it Posh Pink 330 submitted?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's what it is. Posh Pink 330 submitted an image to the R Gone Wild subreddits, which is a community where they exchange their nude bodies for karma.
It's not safe for work porn.
Yeah.
Women and sometimes blokes, my understanding is, post
graphically
naked pictures of themselves and because they're attention whores.
Anyway, this Posh Pink posted this picture that looks like a set of boobs in a bra.
Yes.
And Reddit went a little nuts, and they were
Reddit didn't just go nuts, because I suppose Reddit always goes nuts. But, you know, apparently she got, like, plenty of upvotes. She got lots of people trying to start private messaging conversations with her. You can guess they weren't, oh, hi, you know, how was your coffee today? They were more like, send us, you know, tits or get the fuck off, basically. And she said, yeah, so she got all these responses, but, and people even, you know, did an Anthony Weiner and sent them their own not safe for work pictures in response. But it turns out that the picture was not her boobs at all. All those guys who thought they were having a quick one-handy shift, quick one off the wrist over a pair of boobs, were actually looking at her husband's ass.
Yeah.
Just nicely cropped picture of her husband's
ass.
And it wasn't even a bra that his ass was in. It was his underwear.
And God, he does not look like he's the most fit of people to begin with.
Well, that's probably why he's got the fleshy bits to make it look like boobs.
Yeah. Oh God, I love seeing when Reddit gets, you know, one-upped on shit like that. Hopefully they won't on their fundraising venture that they're getting into. Anyway, let's end off with some Marvel stuff for today. Big news out of Marvel. This one,
sorry,
the first one has been kind of circulating for the past month or so as different names have been, you know, bandied about. But apparently, according to Deadline, Benedict Cumberbatch has been...
Benedict Cumberbatch. Oh. I thought I made this law on this show already. He cannot be referred to by his proper name. On this show, he is always Cucumber Patch.
Cucumber Patch is supposedly going to be hired to play Doctor Strange in the 2016 feature film.
Yes.
I'm kind of liking that idea.
Okay.
I think he'll be...
Cucumber Patch looks strange enough anyway.
The other bit of news was that at a big reveal today, Marvel showcased their lineup of movies for the next few years, the third phase. No word on the fourth phase, but some solid word on the third phase of movies. You've looked through the list. We've got things like Captain America Civil War, which will have Black Panther for the first time. He'll be a big part of the Civil War arc story.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yes.
Black Panther is getting his own film, but too, by the way.
Yes, he is, which is going to be rather interesting. I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with that one. And Captain Marvel is going to be using the Carol Danvers version of the character. She is supposedly getting her own spin-off movie as well.
July 6, 2018, Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah. The one that kind of caught me off guard was Inhumans. Yeah. I was not expecting that one.
Yeah, that's a surprise. But, you know, at this point, Marvel is kind of riding high on doing their movies. And I guess they're going to be pulling out all the stops to do as many movies as possible. And that's going to mean some of the more surprising franchises.
Well, one of the rumors that has been going around is that the end of the next Avengers movie, you're going to see the current slate of superheroes being phased out and a new slate coming in.
Well, I'd hate to say it, but they kind of have to.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
People get old, and by 2018, you know what I mean? I mean, you know, Robert Downey Jr., Captain America is, you know, Iron Man, awesome. But there's going to come a point where he is more Zimmer frame man than Iron Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Plus you got to figure out how much it's going to cost to actually have him in the movies.
There's that too, you know.
But some of the other additional little details that have come out, Hulk is going to show up in all the Avenger movies, but they're not really thinking of a standalone. Black Widow is also going to be featured in all the Avenger movies, not getting a solo, but apparently she's really important in Age of Ultron and the future movies.
That's because she gets it on with Hulk.
Ooh. Black Panther.
Well, I don't know whether or not she gets it on with Hulk. For those of you who listen to the Nothing Serious podcast, when we were recording last week, me and Daniel, because, you know, Stephen was MIA, the trailer leaked while we were recording. So for the bonus content that only goes out on our app, we watched the trailer immediately after the show together and recorded the audio. And so you get our live and raw reactions to it. Oh, right. And I am damn well certain that Black Widow was given the Hulk googly eyes, and he was... Yeah, we were trying to figure out the dynamics of that.
Yeah. But anyway, that's basically what we're looking at, from not even taking into account their deal with Netflix and the whole Hell's Kitchen superheroes that's coming.
Oh, I didn't ask you yet. How are you feeling about, because it's right in this, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. so far this season? I haven't seen last night's episode.
I have not. I've only watched the first one. I've got to watch the rest of them. But I have to say, in all honesty, I had given up at some point during season one. I think there was about maybe 3 or 4 episodes left, and I was just sort of gotten a little tired. It wasn't working for me. Then I started hearing word of what was going to be happening this season. So I went back, I watched the last episode of last season and the first episode of this one, and I got to say, I'm liking what they're doing. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a good series. I really do think so. The other one that I like too is The Flash. I think I
watched the first 2 episodes and I'm one behind.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure about this whole Barry Bonds version of The Flash. I think it'll plan out well. I mean, we originally watched the Genesis episode of The Flash when it leaked.
Yes, I watched the same one.
So going back then to rewatch that episode when it was actually released, I hope that they're not making a mistake. It's good that they're getting into the story straight away with The Flash. You know, they're not spending too much time on Genesis. but I hope that they're not spending too
little time. Yeah.
You know, because right now he's not a character that I feel anything for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they gave him the whole sob story. You know, he loves his sister, his stepsister. She's not really his stepsister. They just grow up as brothers, and he loves her, and he can't be with her. And you know, his mother died, and his dad's in prison, and you know, he could be a bloody Disney character at this point. But they still haven't made him somebody that you respond to emotionally yet. You know,
yeah.
They're gonna have to work on that quick.
Yeah. But I gotta say, I'm liking what I'm seeing both movie-wise and television-wise with the whole slate of different superheroes and fantasy and the such.
It's time to be a geek that watches movies.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Are you feeling anything for any particular shows that are coming out right now, or you know, anything perking your interest?
I'm feeling a lot of disdain.
over any particular one? Oh, you aren't happy?
I'm not happy, man. Because Peter Capaldi, brilliant Doctor.
Yes.
Lots, episodes.
Not so much.
Clara, just get rid of it. Too much navel gazing this series, and you know, all these clever stories to help you understand the Doctor. We all understand the Doctor. He's been going for 50 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Just let us understand the Doctor through his insecurities, bit by bit, story by story, rather than laying out these elaborate stories that are there basically to make you understand the Doctor. This whole episode, you know, with the 2D things, and is basically Clara is pretending to be the Doctor, so you understand the Doctor. No, time to get rid of Clara. Do some decent bloody Doctor Who stories, because Capaldi is an awesome Doctor, but he's not been given a chance. In fact, Sarah said to me the other day that Capaldi is going to have an early end to his run as Doctor Who, and it will not be
a good one.
It will be because they wrote shitty episodes for an awesome Doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Constantine, last one.
Oh, Constantine. Love that they did him English the way he's supposed to be.
Yes.
Thank you very much. My only problem with Constantine, all right, is obviously it wouldn't be hard to be a better Constantine than Keanu Reeves was. But that's another story, right? My only problem with Constantine is, well, there's two. One, they make too many assumptions that the viewer
will understand
knows the Constantine story.
Yes.
Because if you don't know it, I can imagine people going, the hell?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Why is he driving around in a taxi? Why does Chaz come back from the dead? You know, it doesn't make any sense, right? And two, this show needs not to be made for network TV.
I know.
It's too soft. It's too there's not enough language. You don't see, I mean, smoking, as bad as it is an integral part of the character.
Oh, definitely.
And you never see it. You see flicking his lighter every now and then, right? But it's got promise. I like the guy who's playing Constantine. It's got promise. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm like,
so close.
Sarah watched it with me, and I'm glad she hasn't, because I'm like, you know, she hasn't read Constantine. She's not going to read Constantine. So I don't see, unless they change the style, well, not the style, but unless they change how much information they're putting in and start fluffing out some of why he's doing what he's doing, it's going to be a very hard one for non-Constantine fans.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I think we better, if you got a wife to get back to and
I've got a wife and I've got a kid. I've got a kid who just started saying bye-bye.
Oh, tug at the heartstrings. Yes.
I mean, it's terrible, you know. If he's awake in the morning before we leave for work, he goes into absolute fits because he doesn't want me to leave. And it's me. He's a daddy's boy. Right?
Okay, as part of my sign out, I know we've got to go. We got to go here. I asked you pre-show, but I'm also going to ask this of any of our listeners. I am looking for some good, plain English, non-hype books on marketing.
Did you read The Ad Contrarian?
I don't think so.
Okay, read The Ad Contrarian, right?
Okay.
Now there's two books. One is The Ad Contrarian, I believe that's the first one, and the other one is Ad Contrarian, the 101 Alternative Ideas About Marketing. Okay. Second book, not so good. It's mostly a collection of blog posts from their website. First book is genius.
Okay.
Right? Now, where you will learn about marketing from this book is the fact that this guy spends his whole time talking about how stupid marketing is. Okay? Because he's basically, he doesn't want to put up with the bullshit in marketing anymore.
Same here.
So he spends his time talking about deconstructing the bullshit, basically. Yeah. And from that, you learn a lot. Yeah. Very, very good book.
So any of our listeners who are in that biz or know of anybody that's in that biz, send me links, send me ebooks at feedback@geekdimensions.com.
Oh, send me ebooks.
Hey.
Yeah.
At feedback@geekdimensions.com. I would really, really appreciate it.
You need an I want free stuff at geekdimensions.com.
Yeah, I do.
I have an army of marketing books, but they all get into the marketing speak fairly heavily.
Yeah, and I would probably end up pulling out what little regular hair I have left. But on that note, do you have any final words for our listeners?
Be excellent to each other.
Thank you, sir. And on that note, I'll take us out of this week's show with one very simple thing, which I try to say every show. Remember, folks, keep it geek.